Alan, hi and good morning. You're the author of Saraswati's Children, which is a story of, which is a history of Christians in Mangalore. Could you tell us a bit about it?
Hello, Rico. Uh, Saraswati's Children is written more for a sort of a popular kind of a history,
Yeah.
which attempts to cover the historical background of the Kannada Christians, or popularly known as Mangaloreans, from the Hindu past into the post Tipu era. The book basically covers three broad areas. The first is the Hindu part, which
Pre-conversion.
pre-conversion, which is in Goa,
Yeah.
eventually leads up to Goa and the Konkani heritage. The second part refers to the conversions that took place, how they took place,
In
and
Goa.
in Goa,
Yeah.
and the migrations. Uh, in
Around migrations around when?
uh, Beginning around mid 16th century to about mid 17th century, so it's about 200 years.
Okay.
The early phase was more the Konkanas who didn't want to be converted and the Brahmins who left. But subsequently, a number went because when the from what we can see is that living conditions in Goa did become deteriorate quite considerably
Yeah.
due to various factors,
Factors such as.
such as well in 1570s, that decade 1570 to 1580, the Adil Shahis, Bijapur had essentially attacked Salset, which created quite a lot of disturbances there. Then there was social unrest also due to the new conversion policies. But I think I feel that the major these things took place due to a lot of breakdown in the Gaunkari systems,
I see.
which created a lot of shortage of food. Then, starting from 1660s, you had the Maratha invasions, which went on till 1740s with the fall of the province of the north. During this time, uh, a major part of Goa's rice came from Canara.
Yeah.
Uh, in fact, I think the Konde, the
Goa always had this problem of feeding itself. It was
yes,
a deficit area.
yes, and it is mentioned also by the Viceroy, Alorna, Konde de Alorna,
Yeah.
when handing over to this thing, and he mentions that Goa could produce rice only for 4 months in a year,
I see.
so people had to eat.
Hmm.
And why that happened? Because they could feed themselves earlier. So it can only because of the breakdown of the Gaunkari systems and the war
Yeah.
situations that took place.
I see.
The final part of the book transfers over to Canara
Yeah.
and how they sort of settle down there, and the major traumatic event of the what is called as the captivity.
That's quite a story in itself, which many people might not be aware of outside of Mangalore.
Yes, and that's a book that I'm now working on to go into a lot of detail. There's a lot of myth also built up about
In
that.
brief, what's it? What does it mean?
Okay, what happened was
Yeah.
when the Goans migrants reached Canada, uh, it was under the Ikeri kingdom, and the Ikeris were Lingayat Nayakas operating out from today's close to Shimoga. They first had their king place at Keladi, then Ikeri, and then Bedno.
Yeah.
In 1761, by 1750s, Hyder Ali had more or less taken over the Mysore kingdom, and he was a very dynamic man, broad-minded, and quite ruthless in his own way. And he expanded the kingdom maybe about 3-4 times than what it was. And in 1763, the Ikeri kingdom came into his grasp, with that Mangalore as
Yeah.
well. It was the time of acute rivalry in South India, because the Vijayanagar Empire had collapsed about 200 years before,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of contending parties. You had the Marathas coming in from the north to claim their Jowth. You had the Nizam's inheritance from coming from into the what was called the Karnataka or today's Tamil Nadu. You had the British outposts, the French outposts on the west coast and east coast in Madras. You had the Dutch in Malabar. Then you had a number of this thing, and Travancore from the south was coming
I
north.
see.
So there was a lot of flux going on.
Yeah.
And Hyder used this. He fought his way through and established a big kingdom.
Yeah.
In fact, Hyder's territory was more than today's Great Britain.
I see.
Yeah. He died in 1782, and his son Tipu took over. And the English took that opportunity to attack and create a diversionary tactic from the west coast. And Mangalore fell.
I see.
They landed up from North Canara, they came down and Mangalore fell. Tipu was very frustrated there because for 9 months he could not take a small fort. Tipu gives a different reason why he took the Mangaloreans away.
His reason is?
His reason, he blames the Portuguese conversion attempts in Goa.
I see.
This comes out in his. He started a history called the History of King of Histories, and it was probably started around. It just stretches for about 3-4 years,
I see.
from about 1784 to 1787. After that, it stops, and it was written down by Persian of his court
I see.
called Shustri. The translations were done by Kirkpatrick and others,
Yeah.
which are available in London, East India
I see.
Company. But you must look at this deportation of entire populations in the historical context.
Yeah.
It was first started very seriously by Hyder when he took those from Bedar, the Bedars from Chitradurg. Wilkes says that about 20,000 were taken. After that, a number of people were taken from Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
These records are there by the English prisoners who were there at Srirangapatna. In their diaries, they have written it.
I see.
Then the next major one is the Mangaloreans were taken. After
For how
that,
many years?
15 years.
I see.
But in 1792, about 700 families escaped to Coorg
I see.
in Virajpet, and their records are there.
They are still in Kurd, some of them.
Some of them are still there, yes.
So that must have disrupted the community quite a bit in that.
Yes.
In that sense.
In fact, all the communities, because it was not just the Mangaloreans, after that the Kurds were taken, then
I
the
see.
Nayars were taken,
I see.
and a lot of Europeans were taken as well. So
Sorry.
it's not as a kind of, to look
Targeting
at
of
it,
anyone.
yeah, to look at it as a fanatism or bigot,
Yeah.
religious, I don't think gives the entire picture. There's much more into it, and you need much more historical research to really.
You're an engineer who went into history, which is unusual. Why?
There is not, well, I've always been interested in history and a lot of other things as well, but there is not much written about Mangalorean histories. In fact, there just
There is a
little
gap.
bits and pieces of,
I see.
and lot of myth has developed over the period of that time. So it's something that I read, and as you read more, and you come across little more, and you get sucked into it. So that's what has happened.
Yeah.
And I was very much interested in trying to establish how the Goan connection, because our family, the only thing that we know about the Goan connection is one is of course that we speak Konkani, that we are Catholics, that our cuisine is all Goan, our language is Konkani. So obviously there is a connection there, but there was a short history written by my uncle.
I see.
It was just handwritten, in which he mentions that the Machados were Gaunkars, Prabhus from Aldona,
I see.
who migrated for reasons unknown.
I see. Interesting.